Place to be. What's up, y'all? How y'all feel out there? Frank Red, once again, coming to you live for another edition of the In the Dungeon Show. But thank you off the top for joining me. I appreciate you. There is a lot to talk about. I had a busy weekend, and to compile all the information that we potentially might talk about tonight, took some time to do that today, so I appreciate your patience. But I think much of what we have planned to talk about and will be interesting to you. We'll find out when you consider some of what you bring to the table as well. I look forward to your thoughts and entries to the show that maybe I have not thought about or have scheduled to present. But I want to send pleasantries out to everybody. Hopefully you had a safe and festive 4th of July celebration with loved ones, or maybe you just kind of chilled by yourself and took everything in. The most important thing is that you are safe and sound, and you're ready to join us for this program, or just kind of get ready for the start of the week. All right. My name is Frank Red. If you haven't listened to me before, and this is In the Dungeon Show, you look at the screen, it says at Big Frank Red. You can hit me up on Twitter. If you don't already follow me, if you want to, you can do so. Hit the like button for the show, In the Dungeon Show. We really appreciate it. And you all are really stepping it up over the past couple of weeks. Our listenership is going up. We want it to continue. So hit the like button if you like the show. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. And it's hot. I'm in a hot studio, so that's why I'm sweating. So hopefully I'm going to be able to get that under control. All right. In the meantime, in between time, yesterday, with a good buddy of mine, Sebastian, I went over and checked out the California Classic at Chase Arena, and it's about 10, 11,000. Good time, doubleheader. And luckily I went yesterday, because had I gone today, I would not have seen Bronny James. I saw Bronny James yesterday, his first professional game. Excuse me. And got a chance to evaluate him. Some of the things I'm going to say will be different than what you hear in the media. And some of the things might sting a little bit, because I think that he has a long way to go. First and foremost, about Bronny James, he's physically impressive. He really is. He's a lot more impressive in person than he is just kind of seeing him on television, because he has a really sweet persona. You know, he's well-spoken, he's educated. He's a nice young man. On the court, he has solid measurables. He really does. Now, the only difference is his measurables are good for a point guard, not for a two guard and not for a wing. You can tell that he has not played a lot of basketball. And I mean, he only spent 1 year in college. What did he play? Maybe 10 games? Sierra Canyon was like an all-star hit factory. I mean, to me, it was like Motown in Detroit. Everybody there was a superstar. So if everybody there is a superstar, the specificity that is needed sometimes to really develop a player and break him down or break her down, I don't think was there. There's certain things that he should be able to do that he can't do. He has good defensive instincts, right? He kind of understands. He's really quick, which is why on SportsCenter every now and then you'll see a still of him, you know, dunking the basketball or starting a break, because he takes a lot of chances. What I saw is his defensive fundamentals are average at best, not very good. Why? Because he hasn't played a lot. This is why the Lakers wanted Danny Hurley as their coach. They got JJ Redick, who is by no means top liver. And I think JJ would be able to do some things for the big club that Darvin Ham couldn't do. And with regards to offense, I think he'll be able to help Bronny some. But Danny Hurley would have been better. It would have even been better for literally Bronny to sit back and choose a college that he wanted to go to. If only for 1 year, he would have benefited greatly for playing for a great coach. But this is what it is. He's going to have to work his tail off. And it's not going to happen just because he's on the court. The Lakers, and if I'm LeBron, if I'm all invested, I'm saying that, listen, put the ball in my son's hands. All right? Because he needs to handle the basketball. You know, he needs to learn how to run offenses. He might never be a point guard, but he needs to be a lead guard. If he does not develop those innate skills of learning how to run an offense, he's going to be Davion Mitchell. After his 4-year contract, after LeBron is gone, he'll be out of the league. He won't last. And that was the conclusion that I drew after my evaluation, and I didn't like that, but I see the promise. Anybody who thinks this guy is not a draftable player based on physical ability, you're wrong. And tomorrow morning, they're going to be bashing the kid. Oh, he shot 2 for 9. It doesn't matter. He has the ability, but he needs to learn how to play. He's not going to learn how to play at the NBA level next year. He might have a moment, but that's really not what it's about. He needs to learn how to run an offense. Fundamentally, his footwork is average at best. Think about this. When he gets the ball, the first thing he does is dribble. No. When you get the ball, you got to establish your balance, right? Not even your pivot foot at that point. Your balance, you look at the basket. First priority is to look at the basket really quickly, and you assess what the defense is giving you, and then you respond. When Bronny gets the ball, he immediately puts it on the deck. That's coaching. You know, he got to stop that. He got to frame up, look at the basket, calm down. Maybe he has a catch and shoot jumper. Maybe he has a one dribble move. Maybe there's a pass to rotate the ball. He doesn't do any of that. He catches the ball and he puts it on the deck. So, I'm rooting for the young man. I feel relieved now. He's 215 pounds. This is not a scrawny little kid. He's 250. He's built more like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday. Not quite as tall. He's only 6'2". Got long arms. But he's solidly built. Doesn't know how to play the position. Dalton Connect, we'll get into him. I think he's going to be fine. I think Dalton is going to be a player. He didn't look great this weekend, but he wasn't playing with a lot of good players. As he plays with more established players, Dalton Connect is going to be a real steal in this draft. I'll get into the Warriors in a second, but I want to introduce the show and get some of the people online who have been waiting for a couple of minutes. I appreciate it. The great Vicky says, "Hi, Frank. Hi, Frank. How are you? I love the buddy signing. I think if the Warriors don't do anything else, they are now a 50 to 55 win team." Vicky. I think that you're being a little ambitious. I think the Warriors, I got them winning 44 games, maybe 46. 50 wins, I can't see that. But hopefully I'm wrong. Man, that's pretty inspirational. I like the buddy signing also. I think Zach is better. Right now, I think the Sacramento Kings are better for obvious reasons. We'll get into that also. But yeah, I got the Warriors winning 44 to 46 games. Glendosha says, "What's up, Frank? The Warriors are so guard heavy. I think they are another move. I think they have another move in them. I can't take another year of Moody not getting at least 25 minutes a game." I totally agree with you. He should be playing, and I think he's a good shot. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get a chance to see Leaky Waters. Now maybe we're going to see him in Vegas. All right, but I want to see him. And I agree. Contract year, Moody needs to get on the floor, but Moody needs to produce. And it's something that Kerr alluded to at the end of the year, and I've spoken about this. He gave a quick evaluation of Moses Moody, and I thought he was spot on. Moses Moody has to be more aggressive. He has to kind of be like a 3-and-D catch and shoot guy, play great D, and he'll get on the court because he has really good size. He's a good defender. He's a good player, bottom line. I like the Warriors signings. I like the Hill signing. I like the Anthony Milton, and I like the Kyle Anderson signing as well. I actually think, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think with Klay leaving, I think it makes it about 50%. There's only a 50% chance at this point that Draymond Green will finish his career as a Warrior. I think over the next 2-3 years, it would not surprise me. Well, next 2 years if Draymond got traded, it would not surprise me at all. The sadness, if you will, the unwanted experience of losing one of your great players has now passed us. People know what it feels like not to have Klay as a member of the organization. We haven't seen it aesthetically yet, but we know what it feels like at this point. I think Draymond could be traded, and I think they could go in a different direction. Would not surprise me. Vicky says the problem is that the Lakers want to win now. Do they have time to teach the young man? At some time, the Lakers will say enough. They'll say enough and say what? That there's no longer a win now mentality. Is that your point? I actually think they can do both, Vicky. I just think that I think that Bronny needs to be in the G League. You know, he's on a standard NBA contract. That's fine, but he needs to be in the G League. Now, the great thing is their G League team home facility is what? 30 minutes from Crypto. So he's going to be on the bench quite a bit, but he needs to be getting minutes. This young man, and he needs to play for a skilled coach. I don't know who that coach is down there, who the development guy is. Apparently, they wanted to retain Phil Handy, and Phil Handy walked away from that opportunity, allegedly because he thought he was going to be more of a development guy again and not a full-fledged assistant. I don't know how true that is, but Phil Handy is a master developer, and I think some of that was related to Bronny James' development. Phil's not going to be there, so somebody else has to take upon that responsibility. With regard to the Golden State Warriors, they played okay. There's a couple of guys that I saw that I was pretty impressed with. I was pretty impressed, actually, with Marquise Bolden, former Dookie, who's kind of bounced around a little bit. He never started at Duke, but he's 6'11", 7 feet tall. Definitely a smart guy, and he's improved. He's probably the best that he's ever been in his life right now. If he can stay healthy, he might not be a bad option as a third center. He can rebound. He had 6 blocks yesterday. It's a short sample size. I want to see him against better players in Las Vegas, but I was pretty impressed with Marquise Bolden. He might be a find for the Warriors. A young man, Daquan Plowden, had a moment yesterday, 26 points. He's had a cup of coffee with the Orlando Magic and the New Orleans Pelicans in the past. And I just think he had a moment. Probably maybe another two-way guy, not your typical Golden State Warrior prospect. He has a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's usually not the type of players that the Warriors go for. They go for guys who like to pass the ball, who can pass the ball. And I don't know. Hope the best for him, though. Today I got a chance to see a player who I had mentioned that I wanted the Warriors to get. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Harrison Ingram, the rookie from North Carolina, was signed by the San Antonio Spurs with the 46th pick. I think he's an absolute steal. I think he's a top 20 pick. I mean, like, if you draft 58 where the Warriors drafted, I guess they couldn't hustle their way down to 46 because he would have been in the rotation. This guy's a really good player. Beekman, the point guard that they got out of Virginia, G League player, might eventually become an NBA player. I don't think he's somebody who can help the Warriors right now. So I think the Warriors are going to have to do it with their veteran players and the free agent players that they signed. I would give the Warriors a B. I think Mike Dunleavy Jr., all things considered, did a pretty good job of not only going out and getting players, but getting guys who can fit in their system. So I'll give him props for that, but I see a team that's not going to win more than 46 games, maybe 44. The Western Conference is a complete monster. The Sacramento Kings, they're more talented than the Warriors. You know, and guess what? In spite of Mike Brown signing a new contract, if the Kings don't win an opening round series next year, I don't know how you bring him back. I don't know how. If you got a starting lineup of Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, and now DeMar DeRozan, the Kings are a top 6 team in the Western Conference to me. They shouldn't be like meddling around trying to get into the play-in. They shouldn't be doing that. They're talented enough to be a top 6 team. Whether or not that comes to fruition, I don't know. But I like what Monty McNair has done with the personnel of that team. They're solid. They really are. I like their first-round draft pick. Devin Carter, he's not going to play this summer. But if he can get healthy, and I'm sure he'll be fine, he'll be a player. So big up the Sacramento Kings. Another player who I think they're probably going to sign to a two-way that I think works for the Warriors more is Drew Timme. I like Drew Timme. Former Gonzaga player. Is he a high riser? No, he's not. But he's smart. He's smart. He has kind of that point forward type thing. He's not afraid to foul people. He's kind of nifty. And looks like he's improved his shooting mechanics a little bit. So keep your eye on Drew Timme. The Kings are smart. I don't think they're going to let him go. I think worst case scenario is they're going to sign him to a two-way. But I think he's a player who could potentially help the Warriors. Glendocious says, where's the defense on that Kings team? I think they'll be a top 6 team, but I don't know about the second round. That's a great point. I mean, but Glendocious, if they're top 6 seed, well, I guess they would be playing the 3 seed, right? Yeah, so they're going to play, yeah. Well, you might be right. I mean, go to 6 games. You know, what happened last year to them in New Orleans was embarrassing. You know, and again, coaching matters. Jason Kidd got the Dallas Mavericks, along with his players and his coaching staff, all the way to the NBA Finals. They're not a good defensive team. Play some zone. You know? Surprise the opposition. Now, the Kings might not have a good defensive team among their starters, but they got some good guys off that bench who can play some defense. So maybe I'm being a little ambitious talking about them. They need to show well in the opening round. I'll say that. 6, 7 games. If they get swept or if they lose in 5 games with that team, I think heads are going to roll. And what's interesting to me is watching the improvement that Doug Christie has made as a head coaching candidate. Now, he was the interim coach for a while, and he did okay. Watching Doug Christie over the last couple of days, and I study coaches, he looks like a future NBA coach to me. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not about the opponent that your team is playing against. It's how your team is playing. The Kings, over the past couple of days, have played extremely hard, and they actually were leaning defense, which is what I like. Because if you have good players offensively, these players are magical. They're going to do what they do. But if you can get your team to play defense like Glenn Docius is talking about, then you have something. I'm just impressed with where that organization is going. From the Warriors' perspective, they're going to have to lean on their veterans. Who do you guys see starting? You guys see Pod starting over Buddy Hield, which I don't particularly have a problem with, but it feels like it's already like baked in to me. So, I'm glad that the Lauri marketing news is starting to kind of slow down a little bit. You guys know that I'm not in favor of that. I'm just not, because he's going to come to the Warriors expecting to be paid $185, $200 million. I'm not paying that guy that kind of money. No way. But I guess from the Warriors' perspective, they're saying, who do we want to pay? And who would you pay? Lauri Marketing or Jonathan Kuminga? Because you can get Lauri Marketing if you want to. I don't want him at that price. I don't. He's been in the league a long time, and his teams have not won. Jonathan Kuminga, to me, has tremendous value in the marketplace. If you don't want to pay him, trade him for like a lottery pick. In next year's draft, the top 5 or 6 picks in next year's lottery are literally all like number 1 picks. So if you want to restart the clock again for whatever reason, okay. But when Franz Wagner got $224 million and Scotty Barnes got 275 or whatever he got, the market's been set. I think the Warriors are going to get burned if they wait around and, we're going to let you be a restricted free agent and go out and play this year. I think they're going to get burned. They can negotiate a contract with Kuminga from now, I guess, until the start of the season, somewhere in October. I would try to get him signed. I don't think that he has to make $224 million. I don't, but I think that they need to put a respectable market offer on the table, because all things considered, if the Warriors have a good year, Jonathan Kuminga is the second best player on your team. Unequivocally, he is the second best player on your team. Beyond Steph Curry, he's the only guy on the team who's capable of average anything close to 20 points a game. And I think he can, but he got to get the minutes. Mark Graves says, Franz Wagner's put my glasses on. I'm sorry. Franz Wagner's deal. Can the Warriors come even close to that? Yes. Yes. Well, close to me is 185 million. You know, 185 million is $35 million a year. You know, anybody who would scoff at a team offering them $35 million a year when you really haven't established yourself yet, something's wrong with you. You know, it can't be, yo, I want the most money that I can get when you haven't established yourself. If you're clearly one of those guys already, then I get it. I don't think you can say that about Kuminga. I think he has tremendous potential. He should be paid. I'm a Kuminga guy. I don't want to trade him. But $35 million a year to me is a respectable offer. You know, I tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that the Warriors need to pay him $200+ million. I don't think they do. I mean, there's a reason why Stephen Curry makes over $50 million a year. There's a reason. He's box office. The Warriors are one of the most highly coveted media brands in all of sport. The Warriors are always on national television. Why? Because of Stephen Curry. Because he's a draw. And when you become a superstar player, and John Kuminga is not a superstar, he's a rising star. It's not just what you do on the court. It's not just the numbers, it's the wins, it's the Q rating, all of that stuff, because these organizations have to find a way to make their money back. And they don't want to pay you the most that they can pay you. They don't want to do that. They're all business people. You know, they want to get as much as they can for themselves. You know? But Jonathan Kuminga needs to be paid. And I know, I mean, some of you guys might be thinking out there, you know, you would love Laurie marketing. Tell me why. Why? People in the media that love this guy. Why? What? Why? He didn't win games in Utah. Didn't win games in Utah. Didn't win games in Cleveland. Didn't even play well in Chicago. Is he talented? Hell yeah. 7 foot, graceful, shoot the three, you know, all that stuff. But it doesn't translate into wins. Also, is he a leader? Is he a leader? I don't know that. I don't know that he's not. I just know that when I'm paying players on my team really, really high salaries, one of the criteria that I want to see is them exhibiting leadership. And it's not a given. It's not. So these are the types of things you need to think about. I want to talk about the Kings, but specifically Harrison Barnes. Trading DeMar for Harrison Barnes. But trading DeMar DeRozan for Harrison Barnes was a no-brainer. But Sacramento's going to miss Harrison Barnes. Like the Bay Area missed him. He is a class individual. And I think San Antonio kind of knows what they're going to get with him. But I think they're probably going to be blown away like every community is that he works in. He's not the greatest player. You know, he's solid. He'll be good in San Antonio. But this guy's best work is his post-playing career. It really is. I remember, like, you can look it up on the internet. A Marcus Thompson, great writer in the Bay Area, Uh, one time did a video with Harrison Barnes, which they kind of rode through East Oakland, just kind of like, going to some of the toughest places of the Bay Area. And Marcus was just kind of educating him on that community. And it was a real genuine exchange between those two gentlemen. And, Harrison Barnes does a lot of stuff in the community that people don't know about. But I don't think politics is something that most would be surprised if he went into. He's made $1 gazillion. He's going to make even more money. But I just think that his best work is in front of him. And, it's really not about basketball. He plays hard. He's decent. But the Kings had to make that move, and they did. But I wanted to salute Harrison Barnes on his way out. All right? So I want to do that. Mark Graves has an interesting question. He says, should the NBA change the rules for teams trading away so many first-round picks? What's the downside and what's the upside of it, Mark? They're your picks. It's like eating too much ice cream, right? What's going to happen? It's like eating too much ice cream and cake, right? You're probably going to gain some pounds. I don't know. I mean, give me a reason why there's a downside to it. I mean, you strap your franchise, but you're paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to manage your organization. And if they do that poorly, I don't think that the NBA should be big brother governing over the NBA, unless you got a really good reason why. What happens if the owner wants to sell? They sell. I mean, companies buy individuals and companies buy other companies that are strapped with debt all the time. And they roll their sleeves up and they work through their debt issues, or they spruce them up and they sell them to somebody else. I don't see, again, is there a negative component to not having any draft picks, and does it scrap your team? Potentially, yes. But the Lakers, for a long period of time, wouldn't have any draft picks, or the Chicago Bulls. It's all about how you want to run your organization. I think what's really important is that you be keen at evaluating talent, because you can consistently draft the wrong players. I watched a video earlier today in which Boogie Cousins was on some podcasts, and they talked about the guys that the Sacramento Kings drafted during his era. Check this out. Jimmer Fredette, Nick Clausis, Thomas Robinson, Macklemore. These are all lottery picks. Are you kidding me? These are all lottery picks. I mean, you're talking about a tsunami of bad picks for the Kings within like a 5 to 6 to 7 year span. Absolutely atrocious. Mark, you, Vicky, and I could literally pull names out of a hat and do better than the Kings did over that spell. So it comes back to who you're drafting. Is it an asset that you can take advantage of, or is it a piece of bubble gum that you're going to chew on for a while and throw in the garbage? Vicky says, and MLB teams can't trade the draft picks. Oh, I didn't know that. Is that true? They can't trade the draft picks? Thank you for that nugget, because I didn't know that. Now, I guess my response to that would be, there are some players in MLB that become stars that are not drafted in the first round. There's a lot of players who are drafted in the first round who become top-notch players, but that's not always the case. Again, it goes back to talent evaluation. When you have a really good scouting staff, you have a tremendous advantage. Collison. Which Collison is that, Mark? Is that the little guard from UCLA? I don't think he was drafted in the first round. That's why he didn't make the playoffs, for 13 years? The Sacramento Kings. That was a tough run, man. Jesus. Wow. Vicky says, the Warriors don't have a good record drafting high. Well, they don't draft high a lot. I think you would have to say that Kuminga is kind of still, he has a question mark, right? I think they botched the Wiseman thing. I think that's on them a little bit. I think that's a 50-50 deal. I don't think they did a good job developing James Wiseman, and he probably wasn't as good as advertised at the number 2 pick. But like I said before, when he got traded to Detroit, I said, everybody who thinks that this guy stinks, slow your roll. James Wiseman is going to play in the NBA for at least 10 years, I believe. I believe so. And how good he will become, I don't know. But I think that he will play in the league 10 years. And my definition is there's no such thing as a 10-year flop. There's not. Mark, this is just off of my mind and my record. Nick Collison was drafted, I believe, by the OKC Thunder. But first he was drafted by Seattle, I believe. Wasn't he drafted by Seattle? Not the Kings organization. He was drafted by OKC. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my mind kind of twisting a little bit. Check that out. Check that out. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a racing guy, but I wanted to acknowledge, I was up early this morning, and Lewis Hamilton of F1 was a talk of the town literally over the past decade in Formula One racing. I don't follow it. I don't. But he was the number 1 guy, and he had not won a Formula Grand Prix race since 2021. And he finally got back in the winner's column today, right? But what was interesting is today was his last race as a driver for Mercedes before he moves over to Ferrari. And, I thought it was special that he could end that career winning a race. And I think that he was really genuinely showing real emotion and showing great gratitude to the people at Mercedes, all of the workers who had helped him become the great champion that he was, even though he was leaving them for Ferrari. I don't know if you're any racing fans. I'm not really a racing fan, but I thought it was a great story. So I wanted to acknowledge that. It was tough for me to see Coco Gauff go down, particularly after the number 1 seed had lost. I was like, well, Coco got this. She's never made it past the 3rd round, I believe, in Wimbledon. And, I didn't even see the match, to be quite honest with you. I did not see the match. I was out doing something, but when I realized she had lost, that just blew me away. I thought she had it. That's tough. It really is. NBA Summer League in Las Vegas starts next week. I love that, man. I love NBA Summer League. I do. I love it. Okay. Mark says, you are right. I was thinking Nick Stauskas. Stauskas? Stauskas. I guess it meant Stauskas. Yeah. The only reason why I know is because Nick Collison was so revered by that organization. The OKC Thunder, Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics, they love the guy. I mean, apparently he's just a wonderful teammate. He's one of Kevin Durant's best teammates, I remember. He actually even mentored Kevin Durant a little bit. So that's the only reason why I remembered that. But yeah, I mean, Sac had a horrible run. They've turned things around. They really have. You have to give Monty McNair a lot of credit. And I was thinking earlier before I came on air, I was like, well, who does he remind me of? He's kind of like Daryl Morey light, which is what, and he came from Houston. So he learned under Daryl Morey. A lot of his moves are not like over the top, big splash type moves. They're well thought out and they're logical. And generally speaking, they work. They really do. The Davion Mitchell, I guess you can blame that on the pandemic. I've always said anybody who shoots the way that Davion Mitchell shoots is going to have a problem being a consistent shooter. And he never became a consistent shooter. Not really a point guard. He can kind of be a lead guard unless he goes through a major transformation. I don't think he's going to be long for Toronto. So I think the Kings did a good job moving on from him as fast as they could. WNBA is still in effect. I'm not going to cast them to the side. I was thinking also, remember the outrage, and there's still some of it now, about Caitlin Clark not being on the Olympic team. If they were picking a team today, she would be on the Olympic team. Why? Because she's proven that she's one of the best players. You couldn't make that statement 20 games ago. It's taken and even when people say, yo, she's going to go through a transition. Her transition has been probably faster than most rookies because she's a great player. But it's taken her some time to become comfortable. And now she's balling out of control. I love what she's doing. And let me tell you something about basketball, particularly among people of color. And I think basketball is one of those universal languages. It doesn't matter, but I can talk about my experience. If you go into a black community, if you show that you can play, your ethnicity does not matter. Nobody cares. They will revere you. They will love you because they love the game. And one of the things that I've seen now watching Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, there's a lot more respect, there's a lot more grace, and there's more reverence being bestowed to her now by all of the players. And some of the players made some really stupid comments about her, about how good she were. They're looking at themselves now and they feel like Doug Gottlieb. Doug Gottlieb was the one commentator when Stephen Curry came out, and he basically said, yo, Stephen Curry sucks. He's never going to be a player in the NBA. They're feeling like Doug Gottlieb right now because they can't take it back because Caitlin can play. I knew she could play. I didn't think she would come up as fast as she is, though. But she's getting better every game. She really is. It's fun to watch. And I want to give her the credit, but give her teammates some credit as well. They're playing a lot better. They're looking for more. And I don't know how great a coach Christy Sides is, her coach, but the beating that she takes in social media is unbelievable. You know, all these Caitlin Clark, you know, Vandals. They don't particularly know the game. They just love her. Oh, fire the coach. I'm like, and all of my responses are like, yo, just chill. How can you evaluate a coach after 20 games? You think they just picked her name out of a hat? No, she can coach. Otherwise, she wouldn't have the job. Is she the right coach long term? I don't know. But give her a chance. She doesn't give very good press conferences. You know, she's not real verbally articulate in press conferences. You know, she's maybe great in practices and in huddles. But, you know, some people grab that microphone, speak into it, and it seems like poetry, you know? You know, I'm not going to say Obama. I was going to say it sounds like, you know, former President Barack Obama, but that's not true. But there are people who own press conferences. Christy Sides does not. And that doesn't mean that she does not know how to coach. There's many coaches that you and I know of who don't give great press conferences, but they know what they're doing. Imagine hiring Tom Thibodeau based off press conferences. He'd probably never get a job. He's not great in press conferences. He's a brilliant coach. But yeah, props to Caitlin. Props to her team. Now, I did the research on this. I want Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to be co-rookies of the year. Even at the almost at the halfway mark, I think both of these young ladies, if I had my way, would be co-rookies of the year. Because in different ways, they've set the league on fire as rookies. And some might say, well, Red, that's the easy way out. No. In 1994-95 season, Jason Kidd and Grant Hill were both co-rookies of the year in the NBA. So that's precedence for it. I don't think anybody, without being emotional, can make a definitive statement that would definitively shift the balance in either player's side. I don't think so. They have different games, but their impact on winning is basically the same. How they've impacted the league is basically the same. You know, one's viewed more as a villain, obviously, in Angel Reese. I'm not sure that it's any one entity's fault because of that. Just based off the persona and the narrative that are being, you know, projected about those two young ladies. But I stick to basketball. You look at basketball, both of them are very, very impactful. And I would love to see them be co-rookies of the year. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know how you feel, is yesterday, Steve Kerr made his first public statement about Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors. And I mean, if you listen closely, when Steve was talking, you could hear harps and you could hear violins in the background. All right? Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or something like that. I mean, it was unbelievable. He was effusive in his praise of Klay Thompson. I'm not going to say it was fake. I'm not going to say it was disingenuous. What I'm going to say is it was unnecessary. Okay? If you really felt that, and then he closed his statement by saying, Klay, if you're listening, we're going to miss you. Now, when he made that statement, does that sound like somebody who's picked the phone up and contacted Klay? And maybe he has. And if he has already done that, then that suffices to me. They don't know how, Klay doesn't know how Steve Kerr feels about him at this point. 13, 12, 11, 10, 11 years? When we know the deal. Klay Thompson, remember when Draymond became a free agent? What did Steve Kerr say? We can't lose Draymond Green. We must have Draymond back. Did I miss something? Has anybody heard Steve Kerr said that we can't go into a year without Klay Thompson? I'll wait. Tell me, did anybody hear that? I didn't hear that. Last year, at some point, Steve Kerr reached the conclusion that he could no longer coach Klay Thompson. Why? Because Klay stopped listening to Steve Kerr. Why? Because Klay Thompson was mad. And he's a little entitled. And he was thinking about things that he's done in the past, not looking at it as a year-to-year proposition. Every team is different. At some point, coaches can lose control of the team. Some coaches find a way to get it back. Many coaches never get it back. Steve Kerr was working last year to regain control of the team. And how did he do that? He took Klay out of the starting lineup and inserted Pods. That pissed Klay off. And yet he still remained professional, went out and had a good year. But don't tell me that he was happy about that. This culminated in Klay Thompson's 0 for 10 performance in the playoff in the play-in game against the Sacramento Kings. My numbers might be off a little bit, but you know what I'm talking about. Klay did not make a shot. And over half of those shots that he took were horrible shots. Kind of like last year. There were some games last year in which Klay Thompson just said, yo, I'm going to go out and do Klay. And he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. And seemingly when he took better shots, he played much better. But I think that game against Sac was like, nah, this is it. And that's okay. That's all right. It's business. Steve Kerr didn't finish his career as a member of the Chicago Bulls. It happens to 90% of the players. Things don't end the way that they want them to end. It's just business. That's all it is. What was funny to me, when I'm out at the California Classic yesterday, the Warriors are hyping up and selling Klay Thompson jerseys. It's like, we're going to get rid of this inventory. We're going to get rid of it. And acknowledging him on the scoreboard. We love you, Klay. Oh, yeah, we love you. Of course you love Klay. But it was time for Klay to go. I'm happy that, for the most part, both entities have remained professional and remained classy. The Warriors have been, as gracious and as complimentary as anybody could be about a former player. And Klay Thompson has been heartfelt, thanking the fans, It'll take some time, but there's way too much money to be made down the road with this era of basketball, which includes Klay Thompson, to allow this moment to define that entire relationship. As pissed off as you might be, I think everybody just kind of held it together, even though even though there are some hurt feelings. Apparently, Klay Thompson, came back to them like one last gas, to remain a Warrior for less than what the Warriors offered him last year, and they were like, no, it was time for Klay to go. I did not need a public statement from Steve Kerr in which one could draw the conclusion that somehow he wanted Klay back. I don't believe that. If Steve Kerr wanted Klay Thompson back, does anybody out there listening right now think that he would not be on the team? Klay Thompson told Stephen Curry, I don't want you to inflict your will on my negotiations. He didn't say that about Steve Kerr. There's not going to be any good guys in this, but sometimes people start jockeying not to be the bad guy. It's just business. Unfortunately, when Roger Craig fumbled against the New York Giants, it wasn't the same. He finished his career as a Minnesota Viking. You think Roger Craig, well, maybe he would have, because Walsh did things differently. But Roger Craig's career he'd be in the Hall of Fame if it wasn't for that fumble. I believe that. And then you've got various committees trying to get him in the Hall of Fame. He might get in the Hall of Fame, but things changed when he fumbled. Things changed when Klay Thompson went 0 for 10 in the play-in game against Sacramento. It changed. Mark Graves, just a smoke screen, I think. Yes. A smoke screen for what, Mark? For what I said? Nobody wants to be the bad guy. I totally agree with you. I'm sure many of you have already. Okay. Yes, exactly. I think many of you have probably already drawn that conclusion. But I wanted to acknowledge it because there's smart fans out there. There's smart people out there that know basketball. Even Stephen Curry. Listen. Stephen Curry, you don't see Steph taking less money. You don't see Steph saying, you know what? I guess maybe once your contract is done. But when Stephen Curry signs an extension, he's going to try to get as much as he can. Why? Because the owners are making as much as they can. He could say, I'm going to take a little less so you can sign my boy over here. I don't hear that. Nor should he do that. Not in my opinion. Bill Walsh got rid of players early before they got bad. Yeah. No, he did, which is why I had to check myself. My favorite player of the 49ers, one of my favorite players of all time, Ronnie Lott, did not finish his career as a member of the 49ers. Nor did Joe Montana. It's amazing. I think Brent Jones did, right? Jerry Rice didn't. So it's just business. And unless you knew the entirety of Jerry Rice's career, you would assume he finished his career as a member of the 49ers. even though he was a Pro Bowler with the Raiders. You know, Jerry Rice is all in on the silver and gold, on the red and gold. You know, any hurt feelings that he might have had have long subsided many years ago. And he's all in because it's business. Vicky said, let me correct myself. Vicky said Bill Walsh got rid of players early before they got bad. You're right, Vicky. Brent Jones started out a Steeler? I did not know that. Did he ever play for him, or was he traded early? Or is there any footage of Brent Jones in a Steeler uniform? I know he went to Santa Clara. Are you sure about that? Lott got screwed by the NFL playing B crap. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you know, so I'm not a fan. I'm a strong supporter of the Warriors. So I wanted to go to the mat with Stephen, Klay, and Draymond finishing their careers as members of the Warriors, but I'm not emotional about it because I understand. You know, Walt Clyde Frazier, one of my favorite Knick of all time, finished his career with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Walt Clyde Frazier finished his career as a Cleveland Cavalier. You know, that's how it goes. Michael Jordan was a Washington Wizard. I think Mike has bought every known footage of him in a Wizard uniform. When's the last time you've seen Michael Jordan in a Wizards uniform? I think Mike quietly goes around like Warren Buffett, buying all of the entities who owned any footage of Washington Wizards videos, any newspapers, any print. Mike's making good use of that $2 billion that he has, because I haven't seen one. Tell me the next time you've seen Mike in a Washington Wizards uniform, any type of paraphernalia, any reference at all. All right, my bad. Jones got drafted by the Steelers, never played for them, and yes, he finished his career as a 49er. Right, okay. Vicky says the business of sports sometimes sucks. Yes, it does. Mark, you know what's interesting? It's like I pride myself on, like, I have like a really good memory for like memories and sports facts that ranges like literally like 20, 30 years. But in my brain, sometimes I can forget the names of the most simplest things. You know, I think your brain is kind of like AI in that it decides what's important, you know, what it needs. You don't always have control over that. So whenever you try to extract information that you think is important, it's almost like you and your brain are working separately sometimes. You know, because literally for weeks, unless it was like right in front of me, I could not remember Aaliyah Boston's name. The former, I mean, I watched her 60, 70 times. Star player from South Carolina, now on the Indiana Fever. Now she's so visible in my face. I see her all the time. But for 2 weeks, when I would reference her, I could not remember Aaliyah Boston's name. The brain is an amazing thing, by the way. This just in. And so are memories. Keys, how you doing? Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us with your thoughts. What's up, Frank? Can the Warriors afford Kuminga and marketing with Steph and Dre to make a run next 2 years? Nah, no, I don't think so. I think it's a yay or nay decision. If the Warriors want Lowry marketing, they can get him. They would have to trade Kuminga. I think Danny Ainge would do that in a second. But having both of them, who's dumb enough to do that? Certainly not Danny Ainge. And yes, over the next 2 years, that would really change the apple cart of the Warriors. But this is a next 4 to 5 year decision. You know, who do you want? You want Lowry marketing, or you want a unknown commodity with great promise in Jonathan Kuminga? I would take Kuminga. And I was thinking about this also. I would start thinking about, well, what is the Warriors' succession plan? Steve Kerr signed a 2-year extension. I don't know if I want Steve Kerr coaching Jonathan Kuminga over the next 5 years. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe that person for the Warriors is inside their walls and we don't know about it. They haven't acknowledged it. But they need to start thinking about who's going to replace Steve Kerr. You know, because that coach is probably not going to coach Stephen Curry. I don't think Stephen Curry is going to be one of these guys to hang around for a long period of time. I think he'll probably sign an extension. I think maybe 3 more years. He's 36. He wanted to play 1 year more than his dad. I think if he's 39, he'll do that. Mark says I'm the same way. I think you're talking about in reference to information in your brain. Brain study is really, really interesting. It really is. Are they max players in your opinion? No, they're not. Lowry marketing and Jonathan Kuminga? No, they're not. Nope. Are they good players? Yes. Who would I rather have? Jonathan Kuminga. Again, I think there's a tax when you play for the Warriors because there's so much money to be made outside of basketball just because of geography. If you're smart enough and if you're connected enough and if you can read the room, your eyes are open, I think you can take advantage of those opportunities. Those opportunities are not with every organization. I don't believe that. But none of us can get inside of a player's head to figure out what's important to said player. Because, Jonathan Kuminga comes from a different country. His big picture might be, I want to make as much money as I possibly can because I want to finance schools and hospitals in my country of choice. I have no idea. And one of the things I try to do is really stay out of the pockets of players. I don't really care about that stuff. But I will give an honest evaluation of what I think. You asked me a question, do I think that Jonathan Kuminga is worth $224 million? No, I don't. I think $35 million a year is fair. And guess what? 5 years from now, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be 26, 27 years old. In his prime, this dude got at least 2 more contracts in him. Maybe 3. You're talking $400 million. If you're the Toronto Raptors with their high taxes, with the fact that they're in a different country, You got to pay Scotty Barnes a gazillion dollars. Otherwise, he ain't going to be there. He leaving. He going somewhere else. And if you haven't won since the Reagan administration and you're Orlando and you got a corner piece and Franz Wagner with no state tax in Florida, you got to let him know, dude, we love you. This is how much we love you. $224 million. That's a lot of love. I think I'm going to stay. I like it here. Key says, how do you think Redick would do with the Lakers? I think he'll be an improvement over Darvin Ham in the interim, because the Lakers lost a lot of close games. I think he's probably worth 4 or 5 games. So the Lakers were what? The 6th seed last year? I don't remember what they were, 5th or 6th. We look at the Western Conference. What do you have? You have OKC, you have Minnesota, you have Denver, right? I think the Lakers will finish 4th. Yeah, I think the Lakers will finish 4th. So that would be an improvement. Yeah. Now, after Braun leaves, which is why, JJ only signed, like a 3-year deal? He didn't sign a 5-year deal. But I think next year he's going to have some impact. I do, because he got the players. And as much as people try to dog the Lakers lineup, they got 2 of the top 12 players in the game. At some point, it might go all bad for LeBron, but I think this year he's going to be fine. Particularly playing for USA. He's not going to have a lot of time off. He's in great shape. Anthony Davis is still a star. Hachimura is not as bad as people make him out to be. I think it's up to the Lakers to keep him engaged, because sometimes he becomes disengaged. But I think he's a pretty good player. So is D'Angelo Russell. As much as nobody really wanted him, I don't think he's bad. He's just not a Laker. That's all. He'll never be a Laker. He might wear a uniform, but he'll never be a Laker. Based on what happened. You know what happened. I don't think Laker fans will ever really truly forgive that. I think it's a shame Draymond ain't on the Olympic team. He's exactly what the team full of scorers need. Yeah, I think you're right. And I think he did it to himself. And he knows that. He took the power away from Steve Kerr. Because Steve Kerr wanted to have at least 2 of his boys on the team. You'd love to have 3. But when Draymond went Jimmy Fly Snooker on Nurkic, it was done. You still remember Jimmy Fly Snooker, right? Once he went Jimmy Fly Snooker, Bob Backlund, The Rock in his heyday on Nurkic with his whirly turby to the neck chop, that was done, man. Draymond's lucky. I mean, and Draymond's one of those guys. Draymond gets the business. So I don't think you're gonna need harps and violins if Draymond gets traded. I just don't believe that, because he's down with clutch, which means he's gonna dictate where he goes if he gets traded. Probably LA or somewhere else that he wants to be. But he gets the business. But it would not surprise me at some point if the Warriors and Draymond just decide that it's time to move on. That's right. That's my guy. Jimmy Superfly Snuka. It's funny that wrestling got much bigger. I mean, superstar status after those great wrestlers were no longer doing that thing. And I'm not going to lionize Jimmy Fly Snuka. I mean, he's had some things in his life that are not so cool in his personal life. So I'm speaking simply as, a young kid, 8-year-old kid watching wrestling and appreciating what this guy used to do in the ring. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, if you're not old enough to remember who he was, as big a star as Rock is, he would be just as big as The Rock if he was around today. He was awesome. My other favorite wrestler was Bob Backlund. I love Bob Backlund. I love Bob Backlund. Yeah. Eric, what's up? How you doing? What's up, brother? I'm maintaining, man. Just having a good time. Talking to folks. I thought I would get a little more commentary or questions about California Classic. Maybe you guys don't care, but I love basketball, man. So I love basketball, and it was good that I went out there. It's only about 10, 11,000 people at Chase. I got a chance to kind of, sit, take my notes, and just kind of enjoy the experience and evaluate players. Bronny James, I'm gonna go back to that because some of you guys are joining me late now. Yeah, I assume that Adi, is it Adi or Adi? Yeah. I assume NorCal sent you. I saw they were on when I was prepping for the show. Yeah, I want to thank my guys over there for sending you guys over here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Dan's my man. Eric, what do you think about DeMar going to Sac? I think it's terrific for Sac. I think it's it could be historic. I think Sac is a top 6 team in the Western Conference, and I think it's really important that they do well in the playoffs next year. They have a really, really good lineup. I mean, think about it. Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray. If you want to start Monk, you start him, and you got De'Aaron Fox. I mean, it's one of the best lineups in the NBA. A couple of people have said, well, they're not a great defensive team. No, they're not. Coach them up. I think it's a great move. Will B, what up? So Will B. Val Ramos. What's up? Amy says Sunday evening to the Fordham legend. That's funny. People know who I am. I did my thing. Yeah. Legend known for being a great guy. For being a good person. I really enjoyed my time in Fordham. Thank you, AB. Grand Admiral says, I've always liked DeMar. Even in this modern NBA, having steady Eddie scorer is a plus regardless. Yeah, he's not, I'm a jack 8 threes up per game. I'm still going to live in the mid-range. I'll take it. He's a future Hall of Famer to me. DJ Vinus. Frank, who's going to play D on that Sac squad? They got Ellis, Keon Ellis coming off the bench. They drafted Devin Carter. He's going to be a great defender. Trey Lyles is kind of a pest on defense. They're not a great defensive team, but they don't play a lot of zone either. I think they need to play more zone. There's no reason why De'Aaron Fox can't improve his defense. They're not a great defensive team. I mean, let's be honest. But they're probably going to lead the NBA in scoring. 128. Either you got Sacramento, you got the Dallas Mavericks who put a lot of points up. I think OKC is going to put a lot of points up. I don't see any other teams being able to match what they're going to bring to the table offensively. I think Dallas, Sac, OKC, Boston, it's not a lot of teams can put the type of numbers on the board that I think Sac will do next year. Yeah, I agree. Mike Brown's a good coach. He'll get it sorted out. Now, Steve-O, what a hard show to find. Tell me why. Why is it hard to find? Because when you think of In the Dungeon, you don't think of ENTHA. What I want you to do, Steve-O, so I'm not changing the title of the show. Subscribe to the show now so it lets you know. Lock in. Get locked in the dungeon. It takes a little more time. I dig it. Follow me on X. Follow me on X at Big Frank Red. I always notify the listeners when I'm doing the show. So it's not that hard. Ryan says, how do you like the team if we add Laurie? Also, I wouldn't mind Levine for Wiggins, Looney, and GP2. Those three players didn't provide much last year, so even if Levine is hurt, it's whatever. Nah, I don't want Zach Levine. Zach Levine makes a ton of money. And you think it doesn't matter? You think players don't pocket watch? They do. They do. And he's never won. Zach Levine has never won. When you're that age and you got $100 bills falling out of your pocket, $1,000 bills, unless you are a person who is really committed to winning, it's kind of a job. It's different. You got to be. That's why, when you look at the NBA draft, right? Look at the players and what colleges they come from. It's not by mistake. Why do you think they keep drafting Duke players, even though all of them don't always work out? Because they win. Why do you think the NBA is so in love with Danny Hurley? Because they win. Zach Levine played 1 year at UCLA. They weren't even that good. I don't want Zach Levine as a member of the Golden State Warriors. I don't. I like the team as they are right now. I do. Is it a championship team? No, it's not. It's not. But the Warriors quietly did what they wanted to do. They wanted to get their books in order. Priority number one, they can say, oh, Steph's in his prime. We got to put a championship team around him. Yeah, right. Sure you do. You know what Laker wanted to do? Laker didn't want to write a check for another $100 million. That's what he said. Yeah, $200 million. No, I'm not doing that. Wick Grossbach, the owner of the Boston Celtics, is selling the team. I'm Audi 5000, G. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure all of my guys get paid. They won 2 championships during my ownership, and I'm going to pay them. I'm going to reward them for their greatness. Let the next owner deal with it. I'm going to take my billions, and I'm going to be out of here. Laker wants to stick around. Will be, who you talking about? They tend to beat themselves with turnovers. Who you talking about? I am entering the dungeon from NorCal Sports. Lou Marston. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother. Jump on board, man. Get locked. Ryan, the Warriors front office runs laps around the Giants. Same with the 49ers. Giants should hire whoever they got. The Warriors are one of the best run organizations in sport. There's no doubt about that. Last couple of weeks, I was talking about Steve Kerr's coaching tree. It's sick how many guys have become head coaches working with Steve Kerr. And when you look at the organizational values of where the Warriors were when Lakers bought the team to where they are now, it's a masterclass in business. It really is. He gets things done. And, he doesn't do it by himself. He has a bunch of talented people. I can speak to Raymond Ritter. He has a big title now, but he runs their media department. Raymond Ritter is excellent, probably the best in the NBA in his position. He's been there forever. He's phenomenal. Everybody in their position does a phenomenal job. Grand Admiral says, Ryan, that sounds like a headache with Levine. I do want to move off Wiggins for the right deal. I'm just not a Levine fan. Yeah, I think that's the Warriors' position. It's interesting, though, because every time somebody presents something in front of them that includes Wiggins as kind of a primary and what they want to get back, the Warriors are like, nah, Wiggins is better than that. And Wiggins must be a really good guy. Because if he wasn't a good guy, he would have been traded 10 times. But he's a good guy who still has talent, who has underachieved. And that's sad. Because it's not like he can't play. He can play. Steve-O says, I tried Frank Red in the dungeon and other stuff popped up. Yeah, because you have an I after the E, and dungeon is spelled G-O-N, not G-I-N. And there's no spaces between, you said in that dungeon. No, the show is in the dungeon. Look at the title, bro. You see the title? That microphone after the E is an O. And you put all those words together with no spaces, it goes right there. If you follow me on X, you will become notified every time there's a show. Can you do that for me? Because I need you. I need you. I need everybody, man. He says, I'm still in shock. I've been a Kings fan so long and used to disappointed when shocking. Okay. Yo, man. DeMar was at half court yesterday sitting with De'Aaron Fox. He's in sack. It's all good in sack right now. And listen, man, I am such a strong supporter of the Kings as I am the Warriors, because many other people who are still working in that market I worked with. I used to work at KHGK. Deuce Mason, who's now I'm watching Deuce Mason on television working with the great Mark Jones. Deuce Mason was just getting his career started at KHGK when I was hosting shows. And I'm so happy for him. You know how some people rise up and they get to a position and you think, hey, they're really not a great guy. Deuce Mason is a wonderful person, great guy, and he's worked his ass off. I really like it when people work hard and they are rewarded, that's Deuce. And he's a play-by-play guy. And he's working as an analyst tonight. I thought he did a phenomenal job. And it would not surprise me if some NBA team, maybe it's the Kings, doesn't pluck Deuce Mason and Reagan as well. His counterpart does a phenomenal job. But wouldn't surprise me if Deuce Mason isn't doing play-by-play for an NBA team down the road. Would not surprise me at all. Good on you, bro. Kyle, woo! Is that a wrestling deal? Ryan says, I'm not a Levine fan, but beggars can't be choosers. The words are solid, dude. The words are solid. They got 3 serviceable pieces. Maybe you haven't seen DeAnthony Milton play. He's been injured a lot. He's a good player. Not the biggest Buddy Hield fan in the world because he's streaky. Buddy Hield could go 5 games in a row where he's making 7 or 8 threes every game. He can go 5 games where he can't throw it in the ocean. I don't particularly like those types of players. But they had to get somebody. He's not a scrub. Buddy Hield's not a scrub. He's not. So we'll see how that works out. I think they're okay. I think the Warriors are fine. They're like everybody else. I mean, there'll be some upsets. They're not the best team. We know this. When you look at what OKC has done, whew. OKC's loaded. DJ Vinus, Frank, which country do you see giving USA problems in the Olympics? I mean, Serbia won the world. I mean, Serbia is going to be good. They're and I think that's Valanciunas and those cats. They're really physical. They're so physical. They're going to crunch the court. If France has confidence in themselves, they could give a USA a run. They got talent. Serbia and France, those are the teams to me. Serbia and France. Val says France, TJ. Yeah. Don't sleep on Canada. Don't sleep on Canada. Canada is also very talented. Vicky says, I don't think the West is as good as you think. Denver is not as good. OKC is the best. Yeah, I agree with you, Vicky, but okay, so I didn't include Denver. You think Dallas? I think Dallas is going to be really good. Dallas is going to be outstanding. Klay Thompson? With Luka passing the ball? Klay's not going to have to dribble in the shots. He's going to be open. Dallas is going to be good. Dallas is going to win over 50 games. OKC is going to win over 50 games. Maybe nobody else. To be quiet. Sac. I think Sac's going to win over 50. I think, the West is still competitive as hell. No easy nights. There's no easy night. I mean, the Eastern Conference is good. The NBA it's tough. I mean, when you look at the NFL and you look at the NBA, they're neck and neck in terms of parity right now. There's so much parity. And guess what, fans? The top 5 draft picks in the NBA draft next year are basically all number 1 picks in any given year. This year's draft is good, but it's not great at the top, I don't think. Jonathan Kuminga, if you inserted Jonathan Kuminga into this year's draft, he might go number 1. That's how kind of suspect the draft is at the top. They're good players, but they're not like, whoa. Look at all of us. They jumped from show to show. Isn't that beautiful? Levine only cares about scoring. Yeah, and if he was a great scorer, that'd be different. I don't think he's a great scorer. I don't. He has talent. Yeah, France would be really good in a few years too. Yeah, oh my God. Yes. The mystique that America had over these teams, we don't have anymore. We don't have it. The pocket watching thing is real. That's why Klay left. Good point. I'm going to say this also, y'all. Keep your eye on China. China will ever have like the lateral quickness and stuff, but their basketball program is developing. That 7'2" center that they have right now, who played at Sierra Canyon with Bronny James, that kid's 19 years old. Talented kid. He's going to be drafted in the NBA probably in a couple of years. So China is developing. They are. The next 10 years or so, it wouldn't surprise me if they medaled. OKC stole Hardenstein from Frank's Knicks. We can't have everybody, man. I loved iHeart's grit, his flop shots, his offensive rebounding. I love the guy. But I love the fact that he's getting paid even more. 3 years, $89 million. Get the money. You know? Get the bag. I love it when people live out their dreams. Mitchell Robinson is fine. And Randall can play some five. And the other kid from Texas, who can't think of his name right now, he's okay. 6'10". He'll be all right. The Knicks will be fine. Grand Admiral says, I think they need to find the sports shrink that can figure Wiggins' mind out. Yeah. Like the guy has the body, just needs to tap into his. They've been trying to do that for years, dude. And, I try to be careful because we're talking about, because it's kind of funny. And I know that you and I and everybody else who are being kind of cynical about that, we're operating off the information that we know about. But, I try to be careful with Wiggins because there's been so much secretive stuff about his personal life that we don't really know about. And some people operate differently. Sometimes it's there are other things that are more important than basketball. But then, my thing is retire. If basketball is not the main thing when you're playing basketball, then retire. So, dude should be a Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. And he hasn't reached his full potential. He is a champion. But my gosh. So no on Laurie, Frank. Sounds like you like the team as is. Yeah, man. Yeah. Not my type of player. Not my type of player. I like guys who are really tough. John Starks, Dante DiVincenzo's of the world. All day, every day, I have those guys on the team. Juan Toscano Anderson, the Draymond Greens, the Klay Thompson. Not somebody who's been traded 3 or 4 times who's never won. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. And winners do whatever it takes to win. I was waiting for somebody to really dive on. Like, I think Bronny James needs to be the type of guy who's going to dive on the floor, man. Dive on the floor, get the loose balls. Rodman types. If Laurie Marketing was a Dennis Rodman type of defender who just bust his butt? A Keon Ellis type of player who's on Sacramento Kings? Come on. Draymond is a guy who does whatever it takes to win. And sometimes it's over the top. But you never question his desire to win. Stephen Curry, you never question Stephen Curry's desire to win. Or Klay Thompson. That's the foundation. If you have that mentality, come on, board. If you don't, nah, man. Kings, my bad, Frank. All right. Oh, you're talking about turnovers, right? Yeah, they're going to be better. If Wiggins and Kuminga figure it out, they can be great, can be a great swingman duo. But damn, Wiggins have a love-hate relationship. Yeah, nah, I mean, yo, man, you're right. I mean, he wouldn't make it in New York. They wouldn't take it. They would boo him. I mean, literally, he couldn't walk down the street. Not that it would be dangerous. I'm not saying that, although he would probably have security with him. But he wouldn't be getting invited to lunch and dinner. No way. That's why, I mean, for some of y'all who have never lived in New York, you can't do that in New York. You can't. You can't. Number one, you got to play hard. All you got to do is play hard. You don't even have to win. But you got to play hard. The fans will love you. That's why they fell in love with iHeart. He played hard. Julius Randle figured it out. He figured it out. He was like, oh shit. Yeah, dude. You're going to be up out of here. And he talked about it on Melo's podcast. He was like, yo, man, I come from a small town in Texas. I didn't really know about this New York thing. No, they get with you. They get with you. You can't put that uniform on and not play hard. You can't. The fans' knowledge of the game is so high. And every day, I don't care if you're selling ice cream cones, you got to win every day. If you're a dog walker, you got to win. You have to win. And what is winning? Winning is giving 100% effort all the time. That's what it is. That's all it is. Kyle, yeah. The tax is so hard in the NBA. I was trying to explain that to my dad about the Celtics team for sale. Yeah. But the equity is good. The equity is nice. Kyle says, I've lived all over. I'm not far from Sac, but I lived through probably the greatest stretch of Bay Area sports history. Giants and Warriors winning basically every year. Warriors over Kings. There's no comparison. But let me tell you something, though. The people in Sacramento are as loyal as anybody. And they're primed to have a phenomenal year. They are. They want a winner bad. It's not because they don't deserve one or they don't support their team. They support that team like hell. That's probably a horrible analogy. They support that team. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to have a bad analogy. Warriors need another superstar, in my opinion. Oh, yeah? I needed another 3 inches to lead the NBA in rebounding. I lived down in the Bay during all that winning. It was insane. Oh, yeah. I don't get it, Steve-O. I thought the mic was, were you talking to somebody else? I think Danny Ainge is playing with teams he's hard to trade with. Yeah, because he want to beat you. And teams know better now. I wouldn't even do business with Danny Ainge. Yeah, I mean, listen, let me tell you something. Some of the people who run NBA teams got those jobs for unconventional reasons. Somebody's son, some wife's nephew, somebody who graduated from Dartmouth or Harvard. I mean, listen, it ain't that damn hard. It's not that hard when you do the work. Some of these people, listen, that stretch of draft picks that I mentioned earlier that Sacramento went through over the past decade, Nick Claus's, Thomas Robinson, Macklemore. Are you kidding me? You know how bad that is? Eric says Deuce is awesome. Yeah, man, he's a good guy, man. Yeah. I'm not a fan. That's my friend. Deuce not friends. But I know his backstory. His backstory is he worked his ass off. He's become really good at what he does. Yeah, Mo Reagan. Yeah, Deuce and Mo. Great show. Yeah, awesome show. And, she's getting her shine. They're just regular people working, man. Working hard. Deuce and Mo is nice. I do enjoy them. Yeah, I enjoy them too. And this is going to be a big year for them because they're going to be really good. Frank, Buddy Hill can't guard a park bus. He doesn't want to. Buddy can get very annoying warning all Warrior fans. Yeah, no one is turning this guy into Klay Thompson, all right? The Warrior fans, Warriors have a great history in their fanship. They probably have some new fans now. I don't know how well they know the game. But I know the hardcore Warrior fans do know, and they know Buddy Hill. Buddy Hill's not going to fool anybody. He's a pretty good stopgap player, which is why I got a 2-year deal. Guys, Milton has a 6'8" wingspan. He's an underrated defender. Now, he's a very good defender. Oh, you think Greece is going to... they got Giannis. They went through Slovenia. They took care of Luka. But I don't know how... they got Giannis. So, you got to respect them. My family has been in San Diego like 11 days. Normally I go, but working on the house. And when I go when the Giants are in town to play the Padres. Okay, free tickets from her uncle every time. I like San Diego. San Diego is, what's interesting about San Diego? It's so clean. The streets are wide. They got wide streets, and it's really clean. Nice downtown area. Yeah. I've gone to San Diego like twice. 2 or 3 times. Nice city. SG, how you doing, brother? What's up, man? How do you feel about Ant-Man saying he is the first option and offense should run through him on the Olympics? I don't have a problem with that. He's young. He's a young kid. Do you think Jordan didn't feel that way? Jordan felt that way. I have no problem with Ant-Man because he's going to be coached and he can't sub himself in. And if he doesn't do what Steve Kerr and the rest of the coaches want him to do, he'll be on the bench. I want confident players. I like that. I have no problem with it. And I'm sure Bron, Durant, all those guys like it. Stephen, they all like it because they got coaches. Kermit the Frog Mahomes isn't a parody. Who do you see playing the best in the Olympics? I think Steph puts on the show, especially because Kerr's head coach. I think Ant-Man is going to be really good. I think LeBron's going to purposely try to show out Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. Yeah, man. The stars are going to be stars. I wanted Bridges on the Warriors so bad. Yeah, I like Bridges, but you think I'm disappointed that he's on the Knicks? I am so happy right now. I love it. It's the Madison Square Garden Wildcats. Yeah, man. Very true, Frank. We have no idea what's going on. You're right. They're talking about probably Wiggins. Frank loved Anthony Mason. Yeah, me too, man. Dog. He's from Queens. I love Tayshaun Prince and Ron Artest. Yeah. Ron Artest from Kingsbridge. Down with Nas and those cats. I'm bummed at what Klay has turned into. Beloved by damn near everyone. You turn down $48 million over 2 years and walk away. What about when you're injured for 2 years? Well, here's the thing about that. And people talk about that, right? Did Klay try to get injured? Did he drink alcohol and go out on a bender and injure himself on his boat? No, none of that. He got hurt giving 100%. They got insurance on these contracts. Injuries are a part of the game. So I don't think that one scenario matters to the other. If you want to talk about him not acknowledging where he is at this stage of his career and turning down a respectable contract from the Warriors, I get that. But the idea that the Warriors paid him because he was injured, now I think what you're saying is that they didn't have to. They could have been hard because that was the end of his contract and he got injured and they didn't have to pay him. Yeah, that would have that would not have gone over very well. I think we both know that. My concern for the Warriors is Buddy's try to be Klay because, I don't think he's going to do that. Sack likes to light the beam. Yeah, Sack's a different place. Let him light the beam, I guess. Oakland had a A's repeat in the 70s and the Warriors title 2, and the Raiders with John Madden. East Bay was great in the 70s. Oh, yeah. I mean, Buddy getting paid $8 million a year. Okay. All right, y'all. I was going to stop at an hour and a half, but we had a bunch of people came on from NorCal Sports, and I wanted to give them some respect by extending the program. I want to thank all of the listeners for joining me tonight. It's always fun. It really is. Well, you're Frank, but he got taken care of while Laker was paying the most ridiculous tax ever. And while the new tax was created, so I just think he's become selfish. That's all. But who am I? You're a person with an opinion, which is fine. Which is why nobody's feeling sorry for Klay now. right? No one's feeling sorry for Klay. People have compassion for Klay because he might be feeling away, but feel sorry for Klay? Come on. I don't think so. Thanks, Frank. Have a great week. Vicky, you too. You are awesome. I thank you for your support and your intellect and your thoughts. I want to squeeze one more thing in. I did go to the movies. Cal says, Frank. Thanks, Frank. I went to the movies and I saw Emma Stone's new movie. I generally don't watch a lot of Emma Stone's movies, but I saw her in Kinds of Kindness. And what was it called, like the Pony Things or something? The last movie she was in when she won an Oscar. I didn't see that. I wasn't interested in that. But I saw Kinds of Kindness. Keys, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Everybody hit the like button. All right, hit the like button, please. I saw Kinds of Kindness. And Kinds of Kindness, I wrote, is a brilliantly executed, twisted movie. Okay? That's what it is. And I give Emma Stone a lot of credit for not having a cookie cutter Hollywood career. She's willing to take chances that a lot of actresses won't take. And I give her props for that. You don't become Meryl Streep by not becoming Meryl Streep. You got to take chances, right? And Kinds of Kindness has a unique concept in this respect. It tells 3 different stories within one movie with all the same characters. So each story, the core group of characters play a different role in that story. And each individual stories among the 3 culminates with a wow. And if you are a really conservative person and things kind of weird you out, then maybe this is probably not the movie for you. But if you are somebody who can appreciate all aspects of art, artistic expression, then I think you probably would appreciate it. Pretty long, it's like 2+ hours. But I liked it. I don't know if you need to run out and see it tomorrow. But if you like to go to the movies and you dig some of the things I talked about, then you might want to do that. Ryan says, great show as always. Last question. Which are your top 5 sports? Or your top 5 favorite sports? What order? Definitely basketball. Football would be number 2. Baseball would be number 3. I played all 3 of those sports. And I'm gonna not rank women's basketball. It's all basketball. I love basketball. Number 4 would be women's tennis. And number 5, again, would you say football? You mentioned the NFL and college football, because I love college football. I love it. So my Saturdays and my Sundays are locked. And number 5, I want to say, I'm going to say lacrosse. I played lacrosse also. So I played defense on lacrosse. I know how hard that game is, and I was a caddy for 10 years. So I like golf, but, those are my favorites. All right, everybody, I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to get out of here. Success and getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. All right? Be on the lookout for the next In the Dungeon show. It'll probably be midweek. And yeah, I'll check in with you. NBA Summer League in Vegas starts on Wednesday, I believe. So we'll have a lot to talk about. Good night, everybody. Have a great start to your week and be safe. I'm Frank Red. Hit the like button and follow me on X. Peace.